For the last 15 days, children had been disappearing from the city. Every morning, another small body was found. The police searched everywhere, but the killer was never caught. But before this story begins, I want you to promise me one thing. Don't skip this video, because in the last few minutes, you'll discover who the real killer is. And trust me, you'll never see the ending coming. Now, let's begin. For the last 15 days, the entire city had been living in fear. One child after another had disappeared without leaving a single clue. Then something even worse started happening. Every morning, another small body was found abandoned in a different part of the city. The murders were so brutal that even experienced police officers couldn't believe what they were seeing. News channels talked about nothing else. Parents were terrified. No one allowed their children to play outside anymore. The government placed police officers across the city, but the killer was always one step ahead. Schools and colleges were closed for a month to keep everyone safe. As the days passed, the city became strangely quiet. The streets that were once full of laughter now felt empty and cold. Everyone kept asking the same question: who was the killer? But no one had the answer. In one of the city's old apartment buildings lived a 22-year-old young man named Michael. He had recently moved in with his grandmother because she was too scared to live alone. The fear in the city had become unbearable. Michael was different from everyone else. He didn't have many friends. He rarely talked to anyone. Most of the time, he stayed alone in his room, lost in his own thoughts. Even his grandmother sometimes felt uncomfortable around him. There was something strange about him, something she could never explain. Michael also suffered from a rare sleepwalking disorder. Because of that, his grandmother never liked him staying outside after sunset. She always worried that if he wandered around the city at night, something terrible might happen to him. Or perhaps, he might unknowingly walk straight into the hands of the mysterious killer. For almost a week, no new children had disappeared. People slowly began believing that the nightmare was finally over. But they had no idea. The real horror had only just begun. The next afternoon, Michael finally walked out of the apartment. His grandmother looked at him with worry. "Please come back before dark," she said. Michael smiled softly. "I will." It was around 4 o'clock when he reached a nearby public park. For the first time in many days, people had started coming outside again. Parents watched their children closely. No one trusted the city anymore. Michael quietly sat on a wooden bench. In front of him, several little children were running, laughing, and playing together. For a long moment, he simply watched them. A small smile appeared on his face. Their laughter reminded him of his own childhood. For the first time in days, he looked peaceful. After a while, he slowly stood up and began walking around the park. The fresh air felt relaxing. Time passed without him even noticing. When he finally looked at the sky, the sun was already setting. It was almost 7 o'clock. Families quickly started leaving the park before it became dark. Within minutes, the playground became almost empty. Then, Michael noticed something strange. Near the far corner of the park, a little boy, no older than 5, was still playing alone. A woman stood several feet away, looking at her phone instead of watching him. Michael frowned. His heartbeat became slightly faster. The city was still full of fear. Why would anyone leave such a small child alone? A terrible thought crossed his mind. What if she wasn't his mother? What if she was the mysterious kidnapper everyone had been searching for? Without wasting another second, Michael walked toward the little boy. He knelt down and smiled. "Hey, buddy, where are your mom and dad?" The little boy looked up and answered innocently. "She's not my mom. She works at our house. My mommy stayed home." Michael looked at the woman again. She still wasn't paying attention. His expression suddenly turned serious. Something about this didn't feel right. Michael looked back at the little boy and gave him a warm smile. "It's getting late," he said gently. "You shouldn't stay here after dark." The little boy nodded. "My name is Tommy." Michael smiled. "Nice to meet you, Tommy. How about I take you home?" The little boy's face suddenly became sad. "I want my mommy." Within seconds, tears filled his eyes. He started crying loudly. Michael quickly picked him up. "Hey, it's okay. Don't cry. We'll find your mom." He spoke with kindness, trying his best to calm the little boy. After a few moments, Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out a chocolate bar. Tommy stopped crying. His eyes lit up. "Is that for me?" Michael smiled. "Of course." The little boy happily took the chocolate. A few seconds later, he climbed down from Michael's arms and held his hand. The two of them slowly walked away from the park together. Tommy laughed as he talked about his favorite cartoons. Michael quietly listened. Anyone who saw them at that moment would have believed they were father and son. The streets became quieter with every step. Soon, they reached an old road surrounded by large trees. There were no cars, no people, only silence. Tommy looked around. This isn't the way to my house. Michael suddenly stopped walking. For a few seconds, he didn't answer. His breathing became heavier. His hands started shaking. Tiny drops of sweat rolled down his face. Something inside him was changing. Something dark. Something he could no longer control. Slowly, Michael knelt in front of Tommy. His voice sounded strange, almost like someone else was speaking through him. "Tommy, would you like to come with me?" The little boy smiled without fear. "Where?" Michael slowly pointed toward the darkness beneath the giant trees. "Over there." Tommy looked at the trees, then back at Michael, and with the complete innocence of a child, he smiled. "Okay." Tommy trusted Michael without asking another question. Still holding his hand, he followed him beneath the tall trees. The deeper they walked, the darker it became. The sounds of the city slowly disappeared. Now, only the wind could be heard moving through the branches. Michael stopped near a large old tree. He slowly sat down on the ground. "Come here," he said softly. Tommy smiled and climbed into his lap. For the next few minutes, Michael played with him. He made funny faces. He told little jokes. Tommy laughed so loudly that his voice echoed through the empty road. For a moment, it looked like two friends simply enjoying the evening. Then, everything changed. Michael's smile slowly disappeared. His eyes became cold. His breathing grew heavier. His fingers tightened. He stared at Tommy. Without blinking, the little boy noticed the change. His smile slowly faded. "Michael," he whispered. But Michael didn't answer. Very slowly, he reached inside his jacket. His hand closed around something hidden. A knife. The metal reflected the faint moonlight. For a second, everything became completely silent. Tommy looked at the knife with confusion. He still didn't understand what was happening. Then, a terrified scream shattered the silence. The dark forest swallowed every sound. No one was there to help. No one heard the cries. Several minutes later, the silence returned. The wind continued blowing through the trees, as if nothing had ever happened. A lone figure slowly walked back toward the empty road. It was Michael. His face showed no fear, no regret, no emotion. For the past 7 days, he had been trapped inside his grandmother's apartment. He hadn't found a single victim. Tonight, he finally had, and somewhere behind him, the darkness kept its terrible secret. The next morning, the city woke up to another nightmare. Police cars surrounded an empty road near the old trees. Yellow crime scene tape covered the entire area. Officers stood in complete silence. No one wanted to believe what they were seeing. A 5-year-old boy had been found dead beneath the tree. The entire city froze once again. Within minutes, every news channel interrupted its regular programs. Breaking news. Another child has been murdered. Police believe the serial killer has returned. Parents rushed to pick up their children. Schools remained closed. Fear spread through the city once again. The police searched for fingerprints, security cameras, witnesses, anything that could lead them to the killer. But just like every time before, the murderer had disappeared without leaving a single clue. At that exact moment, Michael quietly sat inside his grandmother's apartment. The television was playing the breaking news. His grandmother looked terrified. "Oh God, when will this monster be caught?" Michael didn't answer. He simply kept staring at the television. Then, very slowly, a small smile appeared on his face. Not a smile of happiness, a smile that sent chills down your spine. Because only one person in that room knew the truth. The monster the entire city was searching for was already sitting safely inside that house, watching the news, like everyone else. Sometimes, the most dangerous monsters don't hide in abandoned houses. They hide behind ordinary faces. And that's what makes them truly terrifying. That wasn't just a story. It was a reminder. Sometimes, the scariest monsters don't live in haunted houses. They look just like ordinary people. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Phantom Chronicles for more terrifying stories every week. And if you want to see part 2, comment part 2 below. Who knows? The next nightmare might be even darker. Until next time, stay safe and never trust a stranger. After dark.